In this class, I want to learn how to become an oral storyteller. My name's Qian.
Hey, Qian.
In this class, I want to learn how to become an oral storyteller. My name is Qian.
It goes back to this idea that it was already in there. Everything that a person can do at the end of an oratory gym class or a workshop or a coaching session was already a part of them. They just hadn't accessed it yet or learned how to use it well or learned how to be self-aware of it. So seeing people come about things that they already are bringing within themselves often elicits joy on that person's part or relief or confidence. And it's thrilling for me to see people come into their own and figure out a way that they can be a really good speaker.
It's helping someone understand something new about themselves or dare to share something that is of themselves. And it feels like you're really contributing to somebody's expanding their potential. You know, it's part of a human potential movement.
When it comes down to it, I don't think that it changed the way I speak or the way I present. I think what it did do is teach me about the way I speak. Like, why do I speak the way I do? Why do I choose the arguments that I use? What goes through my head when I'm organizing my arguments or when I'm just talking with someone? How do I see the flow of the conversation?
I don't feel as though I was impacted directly by oratory, but I do feel like through oratory I learned a lot about myself, and what I learned about myself was impactful.
They start to discover, oh, what makes this work is when I bring more of myself to it. And watching somebody discover that and then grow, in my mind, exponentially because of that, pretty exciting.
Hi, I'm Paige, and I'd like to work on speaking more slowly and using my hands intentionally instead of just out of habit. I realized that I'd been performing as a theatrical actress for a long time, and I'd gotten very used to speaking in front of people, but that I hadn't really had much experience speaking in front of people as myself.
We so often yearn to attain broad wisdom and great understanding in our individual lives, but wisdom goes so far beyond the individual. It's about the space in between, the space where we connect with one another, we show that we care, and that we're here to listen.
One of my first oratory training sessions had a coach that I was working with, a coach that was already trained, said to me, "Paige, you look above people's heads when you talk." And I was like, "Really, I do?" He said, "Yeah, it's like you were in a middle school theater class and someone told you to look above people's heads when you got nervous, and you just kept doing that, and you need to stop because you're not connecting with the people if you don't make eye contact." And that really changed the way that I thought about speaking, was, oh, speaking, even if you're the only one talking for most of the time, is still a conversation. And you want to be connective, just like you would be when you're talking to a friend, and you also need to be a really good listener. And before oratory, I hadn't really understood the essential importance of being a good listener when you talk.
Before I speak, I listen. It's what you do when you enter a conversation that's in progress. You don't generally just start talking. You tune in a bit. We do it naturally, and it has always been that way. It's just not well known for that.
Hi, my name is David Michael Anderson, and in my public speaking class, I want to work on just being present and making sure I make an impact when I speak.
I tell people, oh, I did a public speaking class for a PE credit, and they're trying to do the math in their head. How do you go from public speaking to PE? It's not the biggest leap I've ever heard, but it certainly isn't the smallest either. I was very nervous about it at first, and maybe for like the first week or two, I sort of wasn't into it very much, but by the end, I don't really want this to be over.
What did oratory training of old consist of? Rigorous physical, vocal training. There's nobody who wouldn't benefit from integrating the body and the voice more, and from the discoveries that come from speaking while moving, from speaking while committing yourself to some other activity, sometimes silly and sometimes just more grounded, more aware.
I think one of the coolest things about oratory is that each time you do the same speech, it's always a different experience, because the energy that you bring to each speech, the energy that you bring to each individual word, how you're landing your lines, how you're feeling, your mood changes. There's so many variables. So each individual speech, each presentation, each act, each instantiation of being an orator is different. They're all equally meaningful.
Skies are gray. You'll never know, dear, how much I love you. Please don't take my sunshine away. Yeah, it's an absolute banger. I know.
Being an orator is sort of like having a third eye open. The truth is, I think we all have that third eye. It's just a matter of whether we have an awareness that our third eye.
You don't go very far in oratory without figuring out that it has ancient roots, and one of those streams leads back to Greece and Roman times, and once you're doing that, you're studying rhetoric.
I see oratory as, or rhetoric itself, as one of the most valuable skills that you can have in general, because it is such a powerful tool that in the hands of anyone that actually knows how to wield it, it can cause massive effects in the world. Sometimes I get bad looks for saying this, but let's say Hitler. He could use the power of words to move millions of people to follow what he thought, and that is the danger of oratory and rhetoric itself. And I just want to study more about this power that everyone has the capability of using, but nobody really knows about. Hi, I'm Qian, and I want to work on cold speaking, so just speaking when I haven't really prepared anything. When you think of people who do public speaking or like in organizations like this, you don't see pre-med majors or biochem majors. I am both. And like people look at me funny when I tell them that I'm part of this thing and I do speaking. I go into classes and I coach students how to speak and present. And they're like, why would anybody do that, especially if they're a science major? It has nothing to do with you. And the way I see it is that how do you learn to communicate with other people? And I see a lot of times when people present and they can't get their ideas out fully. And I think that there's definitely value in learning how to truly communicate.
Because I feel like we live in a time where we have to get right with oratory, things that are tearing us apart rhetorically right now. The misinformation and the lying and the playing to fear, which is oratory move number one. That if we don't counteract that with better information about it and with better skills around it, that we will continue to fall prey to it. And now what I'm going to say is the mantra. It's not about me. It's all about them. That idea that this is not my show. This is me delivering a message that I came with, that I prepared, that I worked on. That's what you're trying to do up there. It feels really important to help people see through the rhetoric that is polluting the public sphere right now.
It's one of those things that makes someone really vulnerable, but at the same time shows exactly who they are. And I see that this is where the true value in higher education is.
If you believe in education, you need to believe that enabling and giving strength to people before they get out of the academy is a kind of sacred duty of education, to help activists be better activists. That is my kind of activism.
I think I'd be lying if I said that it just happens. It's not something that you just pick up right away. It's something that you work on as you constantly go. And the more you practice speaking, the more you break your own limits, the better you become, the more impressive you are as a speaker. And I guess that is the magic. The magic is that you can constantly improve. Before you talk, you plant your feet, and then you take the time to tune into your audience. See who's there, see who's listening to you. And once you know that, you just talk.